Live from the 4.5-inch studio in the heart of the suburbs of downtown Salem, Virginia, this is Small Room, Loud Stories. I'm your host, Rob Miles. I'm here today with Conor Churchill. I got it right. I was so afraid I was going to get that wrong. Thank you for coming in, Conor.
Yeah, thanks a lot for having me.
It's a real honor. I saw your show on 3rd Street last night. It was really good, really good.
Thank you.
I thoroughly enjoyed it. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm a songwriter. I've been born and raised in Tallahassee, Florida, and been playing music, since like middle school, like most people start. But I've been songwriting probably about 10 years or so at this point. Yeah. Yeah, and I started early on playing jazz, actually. I went to school for jazz originally, and then somehow kind of found my way into songwriting and kind of focusing more on, the country, folk, Americana songwriting, which is an interesting, transfer. But, yeah.
That's that Americana is right up my alley. That's about how I write. I love all different genres of music, but when I'm writing, it's in that Americana.
Yeah.
You said you trained in jazz. Did you have like formal schooling in jazz? Or?
Yeah, I went to FSU for jazz trumpet, actually.
Okay.
Trumpet was my original instrument, and probably the most like fluent I am on most any instrument is probably the trumpet. But
I'll need to show you something a little bit later.
Oh, cool.
Okay, that's pretty neat. And for me, any of the brass instruments are weird because I know how to do different octaves on a guitar. I'm very fretboard oriented. And even with the keyboard, I know how to do the octaves, but it's very different with a brass instrument, isn't it?
Yeah, because there's basically each tubing that, the valve goes down and extends it a certain amount.
Right.
So the middle valve as it goes down is the smallest, so that's a half step. So it kind of, so depending on how you, it's an interesting way it's formed.
Right. And you have to control it all with, I guess, just the shape of your lips as you're blowing through the...
Yeah, it's a mixture of the shape of your lips, airflow, and then there are these, partials with each, combination of valves. There's a partial you have to kind of get up to using mixture of tension with your lips or airflow. Yeah.
Okay. So do you still, I think you might have said, do you still play?
I play a little bit, not as much as I did in the past, but...
Well, you've been busy with guitars.
Yeah, I've been busy with, the guitar is a beast of an instrument.
So how did you make that switch from, you said trombone?
Trumpet, yeah.
Trumpet, I'm sorry. How did you make that switch from the trumpet to the guitar?
It's kind of a back and forth for a while. Like it was, when I was in middle school, I had some jaw issues, so I had to stop playing trumpet for a couple of years. And my dad wanted to, keep me playing music, so he was a classical guitarist.
Okay.
So I started learning classical guitar, kind of like in the finger picking, and started taking those lessons with my dad. And then when I about probably 2 years into high school, I was able to start playing trumpet again. So then I started marching band and did the whole marching band thing for, through my college years and stuff. And,
right.
And then halfway through my college years, I had some friends who were putting together kind of like a prog math rock band kind of thing. And they needed a bass player. And kind of like the, finger picking of a guitar, classical guitars, kind of started me with the, kind of the grounds for playing bass. So
right.
That's how I moved into bass and then started playing in blues bands and different country bands, and eventually found my way to checking out the old, country songwriters like Guy Clark and Townes Van Zandt, and that whole era.
All the great ones.
Yeah. When I found Guy Clark, I was like, first I was like, it's an interesting name just to be kind of called Guy,
Right.
And when I found Guy Clark, I listened to Old Number One. His first album is just... I used to play shows down the coast, so I would drive. It'd be like an hour and a half, 2 hour drive, down the coast, and I would just listen to that album and over and over, and I just like... I think it's one of the greatest country albums.
I'll have to admit I'm not as familiar. I know the name Guy Clark. I'm not familiar by name with his music. I'm sure I've heard it. I listen to all that kind of stuff. I'm sure I've heard him and just not paid attention to the name of it.
Yeah.
But I'll definitely have to look into that and see. I'm a big fan of like Tyler Childers and Sturgill Simpson and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure Tyler Childers came right out of that kind of,
right
schooling of, yeah.
Okay. All right. And so you said you'd listen to him while you were traveling to gigs in Florida.
Yeah.
So you're on an East Coast tour now.
Yeah.
And is this old hat for you? Have you been doing this for a while?
No, actually, this is my second tour that I've been on, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, last fall, I was playing a honky tonk band for about a year. And then, we kind of, went our separate ways, as bands do, and they're still playing, but kind of found myself, last fall, without really I wasn't in a huge, committed project, in my hometown. So,
right.
And I heard, actually, I was listening to a podcast of a friend of mine interviewing Steve Poltz, if you ever heard of him.
I haven't.
No, he's really great, really awesome, funny.
Steve Poltz.
Yeah.
Okay.
He was interviewing him, and they were talking about their first time, booking their own tour and getting on the road, for a couple months, and kind of just sparked a fire. So I was like, this is about the time I should be getting on the road. I've got a good amount of my originals. A good balance of originals and covers. So
right.
Just last October, just started sending emails and just trying to get on the road.
And so that you did that back in the fall. That was a tour you did.
No, back fall I was just trying to send emails. For
okay.
I was just trying to plan for the March. I did a tour in March, and then as sometimes I would get emails back from the March tour where it was already booked, so I would push it to the summertime.
Right.
So it just kind of filled out, to now I've got 3 tours in this first year of touring. Yeah.
Okay. So has it been basically the same East Coast kind of loop that you're making?
Yeah, basically it's these first 2 I've been on mostly East Coast, kind of like South Carolina, North Carolina, up into the DMV area, and then all the way up to Vermont and the Northeast area and New York. And
yeah, I saw on this current tour you're going as far as Boston. It looked like.
Yeah, and I'm also going up to Barre, Vermont, which is about a couple hours from Burlington.
Wow.
Yeah.
So what surprised you about touring? Was there anything that you were like, oh boy, I did not know that?
One thing that I didn't like factor into my accounting for costs is toll roads up in the Northeast.
Oh.
I just down in Florida, like we have maybe we may have like a couple toll roads down closer to like South Florida, but it would be like $5-6, but like up there it's like a whole business.
Yeah,
it's like
a paycheck just to go through their state.
I was joking like with my aunt last time I was up there. It's like New York, like they take your money anywhere you can. Like you can't even leave New York without spending money. Like you leave New York, you spend like $70 just to get out of this city. And I was just like, this is crazy.
Well, my sister and husband live in Lexington, Kentucky. And when we go there, we're going up 77, and there's 3 toll booths, and they're perfectly placed that I know my timing. I don't like to look at the whole 5.5 to 6 hour drive. I like to break it into, there's the first booth. That means we've got about 3.5 hours left, and do it that way. And when we started, it was $1.25, I think. And the last time we went, it was $5. For each booth, and that's just crazy to me.
Yeah.
And probably about 15 years ago, we went to Philadelphia, and that was eye opening. That was. Because that was a lot of tolls there. Like you said, you can't even leave the place without paying tolls.
Yeah. Or I think the only way you can leave New York without paying a toll is if you drive up to Albany and then down to like this, other states with Pennsylvania and stuff. Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah. So that was a surprise. Any other surprises about touring?
I guess I didn't like realize how many miles I was going to be, throwing on my car. I knew it was going to be a lot of miles, but like, 70, I think each tour I've taken probably is going to be about 7,000 miles.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot of driving. And
it's
I guess I'd always had in mind that, when you tour, logically, you're going to go to place, and it's going to make a nice little loop and come around. But I looked at your schedule and I'm like, that doesn't look like that's what's happening at all.
Yeah, it's just because it's my first. Yeah, that's one thing. Like, it's my first, trying to book a tour. So I just I just took whatever I could, get.
Right.
And trying to, I think next year I'm going to focus more on kind of trying to do that, the direct loop. But it's a lot of up, down, up, down, up, down,
Well, you gotta work to what's open. I guess.
You gotta take what what they give you.
Yeah,
and it's not too terrible. Like I think the longest stretch I had, the other day I drove down to Awandaw, South Carolina, and then drove up to like Charlotte. And that was about an 8-hour day, but I've never had anything terrible like where it's like 10 or plus.
Yeah. That would be rough. I did see in your schedule there's like a 4-day break, and that is it looked like you headed south and then you're heading back up north, and that's where that 4-day break come in.
Yeah.
Is that just for sanity's sake?
No, I just couldn't find anything to book, and I think those are like the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, so it's harder to find. I was lucky last tour. I didn't have many days off on the last tour I did, but this one's a little bit more stretched out.
Right.
It's like last one I think was like a month and a half. This one's like a full 2-month chunk.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm back home like in August, like the second week in August. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Is that so? That's the end of it then. Second week in August. Yeah. Are you looking forward to that?
I don't know. I like being on the road, but it's, at the end of the tour, it's definitely nice to be back in my home.
Be able to
get back in my own bed. But yeah, I like traveling the country and meeting different people, and it's cool how music can kind of take you to those places where you can travel, kind of cover your costs and travel around the country,
right?
And I know that like it's I play a lot of restaurants and breweries, so it's not I think it's not as many listening rooms, but I've got a couple in between the not cover gigs, but more bar gigs.
Yeah. Well, speaking of listening room, and we touched on it briefly, you were at the 3rd Street Coffee House last night.
Yeah.
Hey, Bob. And that's a good group of people today.
Oh yeah.
There. How does that kind of listening room compare to like the bars and breweries and stuff?
I enjoy those kind of spots a lot. Nothing to take away from the places I played, and because they've given me the ability to get to places where I normally couldn't play. Because it's kind of like I think of these cover gigs or bar gigs, kind of they give me the money and the ability to link up because normally I wouldn't be able to drive up to Virginia for just one show
right.
So if I had a couple cover shows on the way, I can make it justifiable
right.
But I've definitely had experiences at bar gigs where I'll play because I play a lot of like somewhat somber borderline pretty sad songs. that's my wheelhouse.
Yeah.
And if sometimes when I'm playing those at bar gigs, people just don't totally get it.
They're starting to get a little restless. They want some dancing music out there.
Yeah, like I'll just finish like a song that's kind of like solemn, and people just kind of like look at me like, what? And I'm just like, okay, here, all right, I'm gonna play Brown Eyed Girl now.
Well, that's a crowd pleaser.
Yeah.
How many times have you gotten Free Bird?
Actually, not too many times, but my old band actually, we I think it was like a couple months into playing with them, someone yelled out Freebird, and we had run through it. Also we were a pretty solid group of musicians, so we just kind of pulled it off. Because like if someone calls a Freebird, and
at least they're engaged.
No one like sometimes no one actually goes for it and actually plays it. So we're like, let's do it, and we played the hell out of that song.
I like to yell out Freebird when I'm at like an orchestra. Just give them something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Now, you've talked about your previous band. Was that the Branches?
No, it was this band called the Loud Ass Country Band.
The Loud Ass Country Band.
Yeah,
Okay.
And they're still actually they put out their first single that I helped co-write the original version of it, and then we kind of reworked it,
Okay.
But I played bass on their first single that they just released, I think maybe a month or two ago.
Okay.
Yeah,
All
it's
right.
a song called Five Over, and it's a song, just kind of like a rowdy country song about getting pulled over by the cops, going to jail, getting out of jail, but not by their willingness.
Yeah, right.
And then getting back in jail.
And finding your way back home.
It's a good outlaw country song. But,
okay. All right. That's so. I brought up the Branches because I see that you perform under Conor Churchill, obviously, but also Conor Churchill and the Branches.
Yeah, that's my full band. I don't really, I play with them maybe a couple times a year, just because this past year I've been on the road so much, and
right.
I don't have the ability to pay them enough money to ask them to come on the road, and a couple of them have state jobs, so it's hard for them to go out for
right.
tours or whatever. But also I need to build a following before I can bring them along, and yeah, but it's really fun when I'm playing with them. There's some really good musicians who definitely pick up on the style that I'm going for in the songs.
Okay.
Really easily. Like I'll usually can send them a pretty rough demo of a song, and they kind of pick up on what I'm trying to put down.
Okay. So it's a permanent band then.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, we'll be looking forward to you coming through with the Branches.
Yeah.
In the future then.
Yeah.
What cities have surprised you or towns or whatever? What good or bad? What surprise did you have when you walked into a?
I stayed in. I just had a funny feeling. I stayed in Buena Vista a couple nights ago.
Okay.
And when I was after I got back from the restaurant, the Airbnb host said that that community is a little wary of outsiders, it seems like. And I kind of felt that when I was in the restaurant. Like I was sitting at the restaurant, and I mean, it's in the middle of Virginia, and I've got crazy long hair and look like a vagabond, troubadour hippie dude.
Well, no worries here. You fit in just fine around here.
But Buena Vista, yeah, something about it. I got some odd looks. They're like, I'm just like, I promise I'm not going to convince your kid to smoke weed or anything. I'm just a musician trying to pass them.
As a kid years ago, we used to go to, we always pronounced it Buena Vista. Mm-hmm. I don't know how it's pronounced, but we used to go there just about once a year for a big family reunion. They have a big fairground there, and we'd get a reasonably sized portion of it in the summer, and big cookout, and everybody bringing fried chicken and all that stuff. But, so
it's a beautiful town.
Really. Oh, it is.
In between two mountains, right? Yeah, I think what it stands for, translation's good view. Good view.
Yeah. Which we already had a good view of Virginia, so I guess they decided they better go with the Spanish version.
Yeah, and but I mean, other than that one experience, I mean, that Buena Vista seemed like a really cool town. Like I was practicing I was kind of coming up with my set list for the 3rd Street Coffee House on the front porch, and a couple people passing by, were like, "Hey, sound good, man." It seemed like cool, community. Yeah, but when I was in the restaurant, I just got a couple odd looks. Also, I just got off the road, and I don't think I had brushed my hair that day very good, so it looked pretty wild.
Were you pretty close to a Bob Seger? Same old cliches. Lord, is that a woman or a man? Were you getting that kind of vibe?
Or I've been compared to Grizzly Adams a good bit.
Right.
I played this one show. This guy always called me Grizzly Adams because I got the long hair and the huge beard.
Well, I'm always impressed by people who can grow a beard. So that's pretty cool. I can't grow a beard. I can grow a goatee as long as you don't expect it to come out very well.
Yeah, true.
So I'm just, and it kills me because my father and his brothers could just basically at will just kind of concentrate and poof, have a full beard a day later. And I can't grow any kind of beard. So.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I cut it down to the sides a few months ago, or probably 6 months ago, and then eventually I was just like, all right, I'm just gonna grow it all
Just
the way
let
out
it go.
again.
Yeah, you can do a ZZ top
Yeah.
down to your knees kind of thing. That's all right. So watching your show last night, you were talking about the classical acoustic.
Mm-hmm.
You said you started on a classical acoustic.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And that was my first guitar, and I loved it because I've got these stubby fingers, and it was a lot easier to find space in between the strings.
Yeah, yeah.
But I noticed last night you did a lot of thumb strumming, and very accurately. When I'm doing thumb strumming, it's just but you're very accurate with that.
Oh, thank you.
But then you switched effortlessly into finger picking, and one of the songs that I saw you do was finger picking. There might have been others, but I noticed it on that one.
Yeah.
That's just very cool how much dexterity you have, both for the chords, you know, your chord accuracy and the melody playing, as well as the finger picking or the thumb strumming.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, it's just for me, it's a lot easier when I'm like, because sometimes with like sound check, you know, if you are finger picking, you know, it's at one volume, and then when I pull out, you know, a full pick,
right?
You know, it's, you know, it kind of sometimes overpowers, like the balance will go off. So that's why I kind of got, you know, used to just thumb strumming, and people have seemed to like it. Like, you know, I've always felt like it was kind of like it was kind of a cop out. I should be, you know, playing, you know, with my pick, but I don't know. I like the soft sound of it. It kind of keeps it in that, you know, range that I'm going for as far as like, you know, how loud I'm trying to be.
Yeah, you're not trying to fill the room up with twang. You're playing, and if it's good enough for Jeff Beck, I think.
Yeah, Jeff Beck. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he had a weird bend in his thumb when he's playing, but of course he's playing electric guitar. But he always used the thumb when he was playing.
Same thing with Wes Montgomery, I think.
Okay.
But he would do the up and down thumb. He was like da da da. You know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you were doing more of the brushing and yeah, almost the equivalent of, like, not quite, but almost the equivalent of claw hammer on a banjo, I guess.
Okay.
Just more fingers involved in the claw hammer on the banjo. But okay.
Yeah.
So you went to school at FSU for jazz, and did you take any voice lessons?
No, I just kind of always sang, you know, throughout. I was in a, you know, chorus in middle school. Yeah. And I just kind of sang on my own, and never took any official voice lessons. Just kind of, you know, did a lot by ear. And I was in a fraternity at one point, and we did a, you know, kind of choral kind of, you know, pieces.
Right.
You know. So it was just kind of a thing I just kind of always did. But, you know, the past couple of years, I've been really focusing in on kind of trying to hone in my voice.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes I hear videos from like 6 or 7 years ago, and I'm just like, you know, I was still carrying a tune, but, you know, I wasn't as focused in as I am, you know, now, you know.
Well, I would have bet money that you'd taken some voice lessons, because just listening to you last night, your voice has just got such a rich timbre to it, and so well controlled.
Thank you.
And I just thought, oh, he's obviously had some voice lessons.
Like I took a couple like minor lessons with my aunt, who she was in like choirs in New York. All my family's from New York.
Okay.
And she was in a lot of, like, you know, operas and choirs when she was there. Yeah, and it was and she just kind of like, you know, it's interesting how like you don't really need that much guidance sometimes if you have like just you know, it's more of just an awareness that you know, need to be opened up to,
right?
And then just focusing on that. Like one thing she said is like kind of just start, you know, it's hard to even like put it into words, but she was like, just focus on sending the sound, you know, into your, you know, nose, like almost like a, you know, the Broadway singers, you know, who would sing like, you know, like right here,
right,
and then kind of balance. Then once you get to your nose, you know, voice, kind of finding the balance between, you know, into your head voice versus in your, and just like the thought of putting that into my mind made me think about, you know, doing it slightly different, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
I'll have to look into that. I write songs, and so I try to sing. And well, I'm a bit older than you. I'm 60, so over the years I've done damage to my vocal cords. Just nothing significant, but just they're always at least a little bit irritated. And if I try to sing a little bit higher than my normal range, I can feel it getting kind of raspy.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I've definitely had some years where I didn't do too much damage, but I definitely was not singing.
Right.
I did back in the day. I used to, before Loud Ass Country Band, I played in a band called Slow Low Crow.
Slow Low Crow.
Yeah, and we put out one album, or one studio album, and then one live album, and we used to cover "Feeling Alright," and I would do the full on Joe Cocker thing.
Oh boy.
And
that's
I think
not easy.
Joe Cocker could get away with it because he was, I think, even though it sounded like he was forcing it, he still had he had support. So he wasn't tearing his voice up. But if you try to do the Joe Cocker thing without the proper technique, you can sometimes. And my aunt, remember, would come to shows just you gotta stop doing that. And luckily I didn't do it. I only did it for a couple of years, so it didn't damage my voice too much. And it was
I think it's the years of smoking and heavy drinking that really help Joe Cocker's voice.
Yeah.
So you put out some albums. So you've got a discography, at least that your name is on, if not for yourself. I know you mentioned an EP last night.
Yeah, my first EP released the first version of it probably back, I think it was 2018 or 2019. I think It was called Not the Way I See It Now, and then I released my full album, but probably about 6 months to 9 months before I put the full album out, I re-recorded the EP because it was just not a good representation of where I was musically anymore. It was also, I was not as skilled in guitar, it felt like, and it was just, the old EP was just me and acoustic guitar, and it was kind of slow, and I just wanted it to be a little bit a better representation of how I play now, so I re-recorded it with the studio I go to in Tallahassee.
Yeah. So you go to a real studio?
Yeah, there's a really cool studio in town called Gasoline Alley Studios.
Gasoline Alley.
Yeah, it's ran by a guy named Kyle Allgood, and yeah, he's a great producer. He just I think he just started doing it full time.
Right.
I think about 5 years ago, and yeah, it's this studio that was built by this band back in the day, back in the 70s. It was built, so it's got that really cool old vibe, really cool old wood, and it's got one main room, isolation booth, and then the main console room, and yeah, he's a great producer. And the funny thing is that the studio is actually built in the same place as a gas company.
Okay.
Gas company called Eli, and they ship gas to construction sites, all over Florida and Georgia and I think the southeast region, and so that's why they call it Gasoline Alley Recording Studios. Because
I imagine it must smell pretty pleasant there on a hot summer day when they're
actually they keep it pretty separated, so you don't.
Okay.
There's no major smells. I think they may have a different facility for filling trucks or whatever.
Okay.
But I think that's just their I think headquarters.
The hub,
yeah.
Okay.
But it's a really cool room, and yeah, he's a great producer. Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I wondered about that. I know a lot of people go it on their own. They try to just do it from, and I know some people are really good at it, but I'm not. If I play something, I'm not a performer. I write songs, and I like to play at guitar pools or maybe an occasional open mic. Oh, did you find an open mic Thursday?
No, I didn't have a chance to. I was gonna try and go to an open mic to try and kind of
warm up,
also to boost get people talking about tomorrow last night's show. But then I realized Buena Vista. I didn't realize Buena Vista was that far away from Roanoke. So by the time I got to Buena Vista, I was Most open mics were probably already being signed up for, so an hour drive back and then an hour drive. I was just like, okay, I'm gonna. Also, it's just like it also seemed to have like this problem with like the week before the past couple tours. I get like a cold, so I was just getting over the final like kind of like congestion from that tour. So I was from that cold. So I was like, all right, let me just take it easy and get ready for tomorrow.
Probably for the best. Yeah, I felt kind of lame when you asked me, and I'm like, I don't know, because I'm not as in tune with the open mic. A lot of it is around here. A lot of the open mics start at like 8 or 8:30 or 9 even, and they're during the week.
Yeah.
And at my age, about the only thing I want to start at 8 o'clock during the week is getting ready for bed.
Yeah, true.
I don't want to be schlepping my guitar up there and then just already feeling anxiety and now I'm tired and just want to go to bed. So
and it's actually it feels like it's somewhat of a small town, right? It's like about 100,000 people in Roanoke.
Yeah.
So it's like it's a little smaller than Tallahassee, so I guess they don't have as many probably throughout the week. But I was looking I couldn't find any for Thursday nights, but there probably is. I think 3rd Street has one, I think, every 3rd Thursday, but it was already passed,
Yeah. And in fact, I went to the one they had last week. I mean, they always have good, just really excellent musicians and songwriters showing up there, too. Who are some of your songwriting, who have you channeled in your songwriting?
I'd say John Prine definitely is
one
of them. Obviously Townes Van Zandt, Guy Clark, Rodney Crowell.
Okay.
And but like more recent like artists like and also Joni. I'm a huge Joni Mitchell fan.
Okay, yeah.
Jackson Browne as well. Neil Young obviously. Is a lot of people. I get a lot of comments saying that I kind of sound like Neil Young.
Okay.
And but more like modern. I'm a big fan. I was big inspiration from Jason Isbell, John Moreland, if you know him.
I think I've heard the name. Not sure.
Yeah, he's an amazing songwriter, awesome voice, and there's also this new guy that's coming up past 10, 15 years, John R. Miller. It's kind of like a really old, kind of like old style country, but with like kind of a cosmic groove kind of vibe.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that John R. Miller?
Yeah, John R. Miller. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if it was R. Miller or R. Miller.
Yeah.
But okay, I'll have to look them up. I always love discovering new music, new genres even. But anytime I hear about a performer or a band or whatever that I haven't heard before, but I know the genre it's in, and I'm hearing it from somebody I know likes a lot of the same music I do. I feel like, all right, time for a deep dive into that person. So, sorry, drew a blank there.
No, fine.
So you're going up to where are you going today?
Mechanicsville.
I think it's
about 3-hour drive.
Yeah.
I'm playing in at this place called Marty's Grill.
Marty's Grill. Okay. Yeah. We ate at Marty's Grill about 3 years ago when we were on our way from Northern Virginia on our way home.
Good food.
Great food.
Really good burger. Yeah.
I had a sailor sandwich, and I remember putting a Google review in there about it being literally the best sailor sandwich I'd had in a long, long time.
What's a sailor sandwich?
It's got knockwurst and corned beef, I think, and slaw. It's a good messy sandwich on rye. So it's just a really good sandwich if you like a lot of meat.
Cool. I'll have to check it out.
Yeah, try that. Tell them Rob sent you.
All right.
So you brought your guitar in.
Yeah.
Did you want to play something for us?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
I've got these tuned up. If you wanted to pick up one of those, or if you want to
Yeah,
get yours, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I'll use that one.
Okay. He is now opening his guitar case. He's a Sweetwater fan, as all of us should be. Sorry, that was just a little joking narration of.
Yeah, Sweetwater is a.
They're goddamn national treasures, what they are.
While
you're getting set up there, do you want a water or a Gatorade or something?
Yeah, I'll take a water. Yeah.
Okay. There you go.
I call Sweetwater they're like the therapists for like the working musicians. Like they'll just call you up every 2 or 3 months. They'll be like, "Hey man, how are you doing?" Like, and they're like you're like, "I'm doing good." It's like, "Great, man, yeah." Like just wondering how those how this pack of picks are going. Like,
they're picks.
Are they treating you well? Like, or they'll see with the they're like, "Oh, I see you got that guitar in your checkout card," and I was like, "Yeah, I can't afford a D35 yet." So
I just like to dream about it a little bit.
Just like to keep it there, just
I think my guy is Evan, and no matter what I buy, within 3 days he's calling me up. "Hey, I just want to make sure everything's all right."
Yeah.
I'm like, always at work. I'm like, I really can't talk right now. I'm sorry.
So what do you do for work?
I work up in Blacksburg, which is about a 30-minute drive from here on a good day, and is often 45 minutes to an hour on a bad day. Work in a fiber optics company.
Okay, cool.
Now that's a Martin there.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite guitars I've owned. Yeah.
You said you weren't ready. You weren't ready to buy a D. What'd you say? D28.
D35.
D35.
Yeah, D35s are. Yeah, they're a little out of my price, point. As a,
And what is that one there?
It's a D12E.
Okay.
And it's like it's a Road Series is what they call it. And I think it's one of those. It's like at a good price point where it sounds really good, but not at a point where it's like I'm worried about bringing it on the road.
Right. Yeah, I had a Martin laminate. That was one of the first big boy guitars I bought that I paid more than $100 for.
Yeah.
And it was a good guitar. The biggest problem that I had with it is it didn't have a cutaway.
Oh yeah.
And I really wanted. I don't play up the neck very often. I just want to know that option is available to me if I need it. So I wound up buying this Breed Love because it has a cutaway.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked the head. I thought the headstock on it was really nice. So then I wound up selling the Martin.
I suppose this song. I haven't released it yet, but it's going to be on the next record. It's the first song that I played at 3rd Street last night, and it's a song about kind of how old family houses kind of have that that energy that never kind of leaves.
Right.
Kind of just yeah. So it's a song about that. Yeah.
Okay.
Staring out his window in that faded wingback chair, where he taught all his kids how to think and care. Pulling weeds in the summer, he'd ask for help. Never really needed it, but he couldn't help himself. And the trees that he planted many moons ago, bearing fruit, he was gone too soon. There's a whisper in these walls that I can find if I listen for the soft and tender times. You'd be proud to hear I'm singing from the heart, proud to see I made it this far. There's a whisper in these walls. There's a whisper in these walls. Waking up to the sound of bacon crackling on the stove, cold fresh fruit and pancakes in droves. Called it breakfast land in the morning when we'd wake, whipping up the dreams we found upon our plate. Sipping on his coffee, he'd smile and talk to you as if he knew he'd be gone too soon. There's a whisper in these walls that I can find if I listen for the soft and tender time. Be proud to hear I'm singing from the heart, proud to see I made it this far. There's a whisper in these walls. There's a whisper in these walls. I wish you could sing it to me one more time and make me believe that everything is light and everything's alright, that everything's okay, that everything's okay. There's a whisper in these walls that I can find if I listen for the soft and tender time. You'd be proud to hear I'm singing from the heart, proud to see I made it this far. There's a whisper in these walls. There's a whisper in these walls.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
That's a beautiful song.
Thank you so much.
I love your finger picking, and yeah, just really good.
Thanks. I just actually past year or so has just started focusing in on finger picking style. Before that I was just doing either strumming or
Yeah,
like I think I had a lot of like facility of it like from playing classical guitar, but I just kind of like hadn't utilized it in a while. Yeah.
and you said that you've recently been developing. Well, I don't know recently, but you had a different singing voice before, but you've recently been practicing what you're on. It taught you about that. Like, excuse me. Like I said, it's just a very resonant voice that you have. How long did it take to get to where it sounds the way it does now?
Probably a good couple years.
Oh, darn, I was hoping it was. I was hoping you could give me a trick and it'll only be a couple of months or something.
Yeah, and it's a mixture, I think, of placing the voice in the correct place that resonates better.
Right.
And it's different for everybody because everyone has different teeth. Everyone has different, jaw shapes, and it's finding where it kind of resonates better, and it's hard to. It's kind of like a feel thing, I guess. Eventually, you kind of can find that spot.
Yeah.
And my friend who used to play in bands with a drummer, he said, yeah, there's this resonance. Yeah, you're talking about this resonance that's hard to put your finger on. That once you find it, it's like, it's.
Well, when I first heard you singing last night, I thought that you have a really deep voice, but then I realized it's not that your voice is deep; it's just full. It's just it's got a lot of range to it, I guess.
Yeah. I wish I could sing a little bit, lower, like a tone, because I'm kind of like, I guess, a mixture between a baritone tenor, more of a tenor.
Yeah. Well, it's similar to how Coulter Wall sings, although he has a much deeper voice on most of his songs, but he gets that fullness in it too. Mm-hmm. So that's why at first, like I said, I was thinking that you have a deep voice, but it's and I mean, deep or not deep, it's just a really good voice. It just fills up the room, and I really like that.
Thank you.
I may have been a few drinks in last night, but I could have sworn I heard you say something about a sad song summer camp.
Yeah.
That sounds right up my alley.
Oh,
Can you tell me more about that?
Yeah, it's a camp that they hold every year in the Catskills.
Okay.
It's at this place called the Full Moon Resort. It's like a resort. They have a lot of weddings, events, different stuff. But there's this group called the Music Masters Collective that holds probably about 12 or 13 weeks of different kinds of camps and music. Basically adults band camp.
Right.
Or anybody, or I think even kids can go as well. But yeah, it's a Music Masters Collective. They like 1 week I think Richard Thompson has a week usually. Steve Earle had a week years ago.
Oh, that'd be great.
And the week I always go to every year is the Sad Song Summer Camp, which is held by the Milk Carton Kids.
Oh.
Do you know them?
I haven't heard of them, but I just got a picture in my mind exactly the reasoning behind their name and the Sad Songs Milk Carton Kids. Yeah.
They're amazing folk duo. I think they've been nominated for a couple Grammys over the past few years. Yeah.
Okay. See, there's another one I'll have to look into and do a deep dive on. Yeah. The Milk Carton Kids. Okay.
Yeah, I've gone up there. I think this will be my 4th year going. And and each year I go up, I would mostly drive up, except the first year I think I flew. But the other years I wasn't working like a day job, so I took a road trip, and then each year I kept on telling myself, like, next year I should really try and work up, a tour to get up there.
That's what I was just getting ready to say.
I'm playing music, and I'm playing music in my hometown. I should be able to like string a couple shows together.
Yeah.
And the first year I tried to do it, didn't work out, and then this year was just one of those ones where I just started, I realized you can't just send out 20 emails and hope to get 5 gigs. You have to send out like 1,000 emails, 1,000 emails to get 30 shows. Because over the probably course of September, October, November, I probably sent out at least 1,000 emails.
Yeah.
And I have these, these lists of a madman on my Google Drive of just like venues in this state, venues in that state, which venues have music on Tuesdays, which venues have music on Wednesdays, and just these huge long lists that I would have to try and organize together all the different emails. And when I first started sending the emails, I didn't have a really good system of like accounting for them. So it sent out, like the first week I tried to start sending out emails, I sent out like, I don't know, like 100 or 200, but then I didn't record who I sent out emails to, so I had to go through back every 200 emails to find out, okay, I sent it to him, so a week or two later I can follow back up,
Yeah.
And actually it all kind of like lined up in this cool way. I was going to this place called Eddie's Attic in Atlanta. I don't know if you've ever been there.
Mm-mm.
It's a really cool venue. They have an open mic every Monday where it's like an open mic competition. So there's about 20 songwriters go up, and they choose 3 finalists at the end, and then whoever wins that night goes to like a shootout at the end of every 6 months.
Okay.
July, I think, in November, and I was just going up there just to try and I'd been through the first shootout before, and which is like the 6 months they call it a shootout, open mic shootout. So I'd been through that, and I didn't make it. I think I got kicked out in like the first round. But I went back just to try and get back on the next one.
Yeah.
And I met this guy who was touring through, and he had just played at East Attic the night before. This guy named Alex Bergen, and he's a really great songwriter from San Diego. And I was just talking to him, because I think he was just finishing up like a nationwide tour, and I asked him like if he had any suggestions on trying to get out on the road, and very graciously he was like, yeah, I can send you my email template to kind of like just get you started, as far as it's a really well worded, not too long,
right.
Email. And then I just started use that template as the email, put my name in it, put the dates that we're trying to find, and just started shooting out emails as much as I could.
And keeping track of
yeah. Eventually I would have like this list of like, all right, emails going out on this day, and I found out that you can only you can only schedule 100 emails to go out per day.
Okay.
So,
All right.
Yeah.
So, are you planning to branch out more westwardly?
Yeah, I think in October actually I've got a West Coast run I'm gonna do.
Okay.
I didn't work through like touring and stuff. I didn't have a chance to book as many shows as the East Coast, and also there's East Coast. It's like everything's like dun, like it's stacked up.
Right.
It's really filled up with venues versus the out west. It's like there's a lot more space in between, where I'm playing. So it's like not as easy to book, one Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday shows. But I've got about 15 or 20 shows going out west and then back through Colorado.
Okay.
And then finishing up on the East Coast again, like in December. So
that's gonna be a lot of miles on your car.
Yeah. Luckily, I just got like a new car last year, and it's like a Toyota Corolla hybrid. So in 1 year between Lyft driving, which is what I do when I'm a day job when I'm home,
right,
road trips. And I think I took it on my last time I went to Sad Songs, and in 1 year, I put about 35,000 miles on my car.
That's it's easy to do, I guess, if you're driving all the way up north and back and having to go back and forth a few times because of the venue lineup. So when you're doing the West Coast, is that mostly California or?
I've got a few through Texas, and then I've got one in Arizona. I'm still working on setting up.
That's going to be a lot of desert.
Yeah.
Driving through there.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. Yeah. I get to those Texas, desert highways. I think you can, the speed limit's all the way up to 80 now.
I mean, you have to have you'd go crazy if you're trying to get through all of those stretches at 55 miles an hour.
Yeah.
There's just no way you could do it.
Yeah. And, playing one show and maybe two shows in Moab, actually, Utah.
Moab. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and so I'm playing about 4 in Texas and then 1 in Arizona, and then I've got about 3 California, and then going back through Moab and then up to Colorado and then through Chicago. Yeah.
That's an ambitious schedule.
Yeah. Luckily, I've got more days off, so I've got more travel days, so I don't feel I won't have to drive. I mistakenly tried to set up a show a couple days ago. I was, a venue finally got back to me in California, and they were like the 18th of October was open. I was like, and this is one of my, being your own booking agent. Sometimes things get cluttered. I was like, I'll take the October 18th, one, and I misread like my tour route, and then I realized that October 17th I was in Austin, and I was like, and then I was supposed to be and then I booked like a winery gig in Temecula, California, and I was like, oh, that is impossible. Like, I was like, maybe if I pushed that, and it was like, it's like a 20-hour drive, and I was like trying to rack my brain for 10 minutes. I was like, is there any way I can make that happen? Even if I deleted, it was like a coffee shop gig, so for no money.
Yeah.
Maybe even if I deleted that, gig and left like the night of the previous night, it still would be like 3 10-hour days.
You'd be up on the stage, yawning, trying to play, looking a little haggard.
Yeah, I was like, I'm gonna put this down.
Oh yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, so I had to, email them back and say sorry, I misread my route, and they only, I guess, have shows on Sundays there, so just didn't work out. But that's what happens when you're your own booking agent.
Yeah.
I applied for I don't know if have you ever been to Folk Alliance International?
Folk Alliance? I have not.
It's this cool place. It's like a folk music conference, and you can go and like they have these small private showcases throughout the hotel rooms. They'll like rent out like 3 floors. People will rent out hotel rooms and then put on like kind of showcases.
Oh.
And they have like seminars on business of music and different stuff like that. And I applied. They have official showcases which are like on the bigger stages with like sound and everything.
Right.
And I applied for the official showcases as a full band and also as a solo artist. And it came to the this part of the application. It was like who's your booking agent, who's your tour manager, who's your stage manager, who's your other, and I was like me. Like who's your publicist? And I was like me. That's one thing I'm gonna try and work on. I think next year is trying to figure out how to be my own publicist. Like it's not so I don't have to spend thousands of dollars on a pub because it's costs money.
Yeah. Oof. Yeah. I don't really have any advice in that regards. I'm none of those things. I'm not a publicist or a booking manager. Of course, with the podcast, I'm doing some of that stuff, but it's all very low stakes for me versus trying. You're out there trying to get enough gigs to support driving all that way and being along that place. So that's a lot higher stakes than mine just trying to get people to come in and talk to me for an hour or so, I don't envy that part of it. I'd have to start thinking about where can I afford to get somebody doing some of these things for me.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's a business that somebody could put together, not like being your personal publicist, but having like, or your personal manager, tour manager, personal, all these other things, but just doing it, a group of people who are working for all the different musicians out there, kind of like a co-op kind of thing. Huh. Yeah, new business idea. Huh? So when you're writing songs, mostly you're doing originals now, I guess. Now when you're playing.
I mean, I'll play some covers at obviously like restaurants and breweries just to keep the crowd
from getting too restless.
As Steve Poltz talked about, like you have to I can't remember his exact words, but you have to like trick them into liking like all the covers and then slip in your originals to kind of like fill in the gaps.
Well, when they're getting drunk, they want something they can sing along to.
Yeah.
They know the words to it already, so you got to learn a lot of '80s stuff and a lot of '90s stuff. And how many times have you had to play Wagon Wheel?
Once.
Oh.
Yeah. I was definitely like, okay.
See, I must be the only. Well, again, not being a performer, so I haven't been on stage and had to play it over and over and over again. I kind of like Wagon Wheel.
Yeah, I mean, it was one of my first songs that I learned when I was getting into the folk music thing. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, to me, I haven't listened to the radio like consistently for probably 20 years now. I've always had either Google Play Music, which went through a few iterations and eventually became Yahoo Music. So I rarely listen to the radio. I've just got a playlist that is all over the place. It's got bluegrass and country, but pop and heavy metal and hardcore. I've even got some punk in there.
Yeah.
I started exploring what's called Scandinavian psych, which is kind of a prog metal kind of stuff. And I love all. If you ride in the car with me, you're going to get whiplash if you're listening to my music.
Yeah, I definitely have a wide variety. Same here.
Yeah, I mean, I just love that. Just the jarring differences between Billy Strings playing really fast bluegrass picking and then Tool going on.
Yeah, I mean, Tool's amazing.
Yeah.
I haven't done a deep dive in their stuff, but I've listened to good bit.
I haven't done like a concentrated deep dive into them, but they show up in my in my music roll on YouTube. 40 and 6, I think, is one of them. I'm so busy listening to it, but also paying attention to what's on the road around me because 81 is a nightmare to drive on all the time. And so I don't really know all of the names of the songs because that's not as important to me as just the song itself.
Yeah, I've been listening to a lot of audio books recently on these road trips.
Okay.
Because I noticed you can get through a book a lot quicker than and something I've got like a weird eye nystagmus thing where it's hard for me to focus on the words and have it. I'll read a page and be like, what did I just read? But I'm just it's like an audio thing. I'm more of an audio person as a musician.
Yeah.
When I hear a story like on Audible, it's like I can see it in my brain a lot easier than if I read it. And I think I went through, first book I read was a friend of mine suggested was The Road by Cormac McCarthy.
Boy, that's a heartbreaker.
Yeah. He was like, yeah, man, you should really, listen to that one. I was like, okay. And I was thinking about it in my head. I was like, it would be a painful drinking game to have, every time he says the road, every time he says ashes, or every time he says like gray, like you would be like, by the end of the first chapter, you'd probably be on your, underneath the table.
Yeah.
Because he says the road so many times, like in the whole. I understand it's the whole thing of it, but every by the end of it, I was like, all right, I understand you're on the road. You're back on the road.
We get it. We get it.
But yeah, it's a great book. It's great. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Even though it's very dystopian.
Oh, it's very disturbing and dark and I mean, I think the movie captured it pretty well.
Actually, I'm meaning to. I think in the next couple of weeks watch the movie.
Yeah. I think it's Viggo Mortensen. Is that his name?
Oh, really?
Aragorn from Lord of
wow.
the Rings. So yeah, he's in it. I don't remember the kid's name, but it's just a heartbreaking. I mean, and it's not like it's all butterflies and roses until the end when it's heartbreaking. It's just there's just so many parts of it that you're like, oh my god, that's just terrible.
But amazing imagery, like you just it's unbelievable. Like he's an amazing writer. I'm definitely gonna get into more of his stuff. Like I didn't realize he wrote No Country for Old Men. I didn't realize that.
Oh, I didn't either.
Yeah, I was looking up the audiobooks. Like, oh, he did that.
Oh.
And that's I've only seen the movie, but I mean that's one of the most disturbing characters was what's his name, Javier Bardem.
Yeah.
I mean that has to be one of the best depictions of a psychopath, sociopath.
I haven't even seen the movie, but the clips of just some of the demented things that he's doing show up, and I watch those, and I'm like, I don't know if I really want to watch that movie or not.
Javier Bardem has a really good. That's his. If you he's not a total typecast, but he does an amazing job at playing very evil characters.
Right. But so I could talk to you all day about books and reading because I'm a voracious reader.
Mm-hmm.
I have a problem with audiobooks in that my mind starts to wander, and I'll lose half an hour of audiobook because I started thinking about music or just things going on at work or at home and stuff like that. So I am fortunate in that when I'm reading, I can very much lock in and just focus on the reading to the point. if my wife wants my attention, she knows she has to say, Rob, and get me out of the book first, and then I'll be able to listen to her. But if she talks to me while I'm in the book, it's 50-50 if I'm going to hear it or not. So, but I wanted to get back into your songwriting. You said something about prompts last night, writing prompts, I think.
Yeah.
Do you find that you write a lot through the writing prompts, or?
Recently, yeah. I'm like, that's why, it was from this like songwriting workshop I went to. Steve Poltz had this thing called his Song Factory.
Okay.
He holds in different places, and last year it was at the same place I go to Sad Songs.
Okay.
And it was him. It was like about four workshop teachers. It was him, Mary Gaucher, Ryan Montbleu, and Bob Schneider. And Bob Schneider's workshop, he suggested him and Steve had an ongoing, when they were on tour together for a while, they had this ongoing weekly song, or sometimes even a daily song, I think.
Right.
And they would get a prompt, and they would have to write a song by the end of the week or the end of the couple days. And it was just like every week you got to, put one out. And it doesn't have to be like a full song. It could be a couple verses and a chorus. Right. Just something to keep you on in the writing mode. And the prompt group I'm in, it's actually kind of strict, because like if you don't put in it by Tuesday, you're actually out of the group. You don't get the next prompt, which is good because it keeps you kind of like it keeps a deadline on, which adds I think a bit of it also just keeps you on task.
I'm too much of a procrastinator. If it's open-ended, you don't have to make it.
Or a prompt group, if the prompt group like starts putting out prompts and then people don't start finishing the prompt, then it just kind of the whole idea of the group kind of falls apart,
Right.
But I think we're on week 46 or 47 or something like that. So close to a year going on. Yeah.
So how does that work with being on the road and touring?
It's tough sometimes.
Yeah.
But some of the times I'll people do it all the time in the group. If they don't know what to write about, or if nothing's coming to them, they'll like take a song that doesn't have a bridge or something like that they've written already, and they'll add a bridge, and they'll put the prompt in the bridge.
Okay.
That's one thing I've done a couple times to get through the week. Yeah. But most of the time I'm able to put up a couple of the songs that I wrote. Or some of my favorite songs recently.
Okay. Yeah, I like writing from a prompt. I don't do it as often as I should. Mm-hmm. Well, you're going to be driving in a rainstorm. It sounds like.
Yeah.
We need the rain around here. Thanks for bringing it with you. One of the woman I had on here last week, Mona, who you might have met at 3rd Street yesterday, Mona Raza.
I'm not sure.
Okay. Well, anyway, she was here last week, and she was talking about a group that she's in, and another one of my guests had mentioned it before too, and they're the Song Machine. Mm-hmm. And it's a very similar structure, but it's every 2 weeks. So they get a prompt, and then they have 2 weeks to come up with something. Yeah. And she said much the same, people who just can't get the song written will have a start of the song. Mm-hmm. But their prompt, they're given a prompt, a couple of words, and they have to use that in the song. Yeah. And then from there, they can write it anything else. There's no other prompts. Mm-hmm. I kind of like prompts that kind of restrict me, because I'll get too much. If I have too many open avenues, I get lost in trying to make a decision. So I like a prompt where I have the words, stick to this kind of chord progression, that kind of thing, and that really allows me to focus on that. Yeah. But
it's cool that the 3rd Street Coffee House has that table of books for songwriters to grab. Yeah. And I grabbed a book for actually different chord patterns like that you could use in different different chord patterns that are tropes.
So it's not 1-4-5 all the time.
No, yeah. So it kind of gets you, because sometimes the one thing I get into I'll use the similar chord patterns in a lot of my songs. And I'm trying to break out of that, you know, because then, you know, usually if you use the same chord patterns, the melody sometimes, you know, is sometimes created derivative. But I think that's one thing about songwriters I've noticed is that even songwriters that are, you know, claiming, you know, decent amount of, you know, notoriety, you know, you listen to a couple of songs throughout their, you know, 3 or 4 albums, there is a kind of melodic trope that they reuse in some songs.
Right.
And it's kind of a thing with folk music, with folk musicians, is that there's, or anybody, it's like that's how you kind of create your own fingerprint on a song, is that you sometimes, but it's balancing that with using similar melodies, but differentiating it enough that they don't all sound, you know, the same.
Yeah, I mean, John Prine was always, 3 chords in the truth, right?
Yeah. I think, I actually was listening to Mary Gaucher's book, Saved by the Song.
Okay.
And she said that Harlan Howard was the first person, I think, to say that.
Okay.
Yeah. She was talking about how she, I think she was in a songwriting circle in Nashville, like in the beginning of her career. And she played this one song, I think the Stars song. It's like I can't remember the name of the song, but she played it for the, you know, songwriting group of like some pretty, you know, well-known, you know, Nashville songwriters.
Right.
And one of the older songwriters actually gave her her guitar, and apparently it's a tradition in Nashville. If someone, it's kind of like a, you know, taking you under your wing.
Right.
It's kind of like a tradition thing. That if someone like really likes what you're doing, they'll give you their old guitar, and you know.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a cool story I heard in the. That's the audiobook I'm listening to now.
Okay.
Have you read that book or?
I have not.
It's Saved by a Song, and
Saved by a Song.
Basically, she goes through I think about 13 or 14 different songs of hers, and then one John Lennon song she talks about. And she basically just goes into, you know, what she was going through when she wrote it, and like, you know,
John Lennon or John Prine?
Mary Gauthier, John Lennon, yeah.
Oh, okay.
She covered this one song in her book called "The Mother." It's like in John Lennon's solo albums.
Mother, yeah.
Yeah, really sad song.
Yeah.
But apparently, it was he wrote it in a process of in a time when he was going through like a
scream therapy.
Yeah, you've heard about scream therapy?
Oh, man, I'm a big Beatles fan and Lennon fan. That was his first album.
I never heard that story. And she was talking about how like that's why even in the song you can hear him kind of like doing the scream therapy.
Oh yeah,
in the
especially
last, in that last
ear.
refrain.
Yeah, right at the end of it. Yeah, a very powerful song. I heard it when I was in my angsty teen years, and I'm like, it's so deep, man.
Yeah.
So it was, that was.
And she was going through, I think, when she heard that song, it kind of relayed her back to, because she was adopted, in her, when she was young, and she at one point, different experience. She went actually back to the Catholic monastery where she was, it's kind of that era of time when women wouldn't want to tell people that they're pregnant. They give it through. Adopted through a Catholic, and it's amazing how personal she gets in that book, like really vulnerable about like her past.
Right.
And are you a fan of Mary Gauthier at all? Or?
I this is the first time I've heard the name.
Okay, cool.
I'm sorry to say.
No, I mean a couple of years ago I hadn't heard about her either. I mean she. And it's kind of interesting. That's one thing I've noticed about these songwriters that I've been finding in the past 10 years is that, these can be extremely, amazing, very somewhat, successful, able to, pay their bills, able to, live pretty comfortably, but they're not like superstars.
Right.
So it kind of gives me this, idea that like, you can find your audience. It's not like you don't have to be this huge superstar in order to be able to make a living with this thing.
That sounds like too much pressure anyway.
Yeah.
I don't think I'd want to be that well known. I can't imagine the kind of the lives that people like Taylor Swift or any of them go through when they can't go anywhere without a throng of fans recognizing them and crowding around them.
Yeah, and you probably have to people who are at that stature, like you have to like contact authorities if you're coming into a certain town.
Oh,
You have to like let them know that that you have to be careful. People don't because it's just you show up somewhere and like within 5 minutes, hundreds of people are probably going to be where you
people
are.
from out of town are coming in because somebody else told them, "You'll never believe who was here."
Yeah. And the cool thing about Mary Gaucher is she I think she got sober in her late 20s, and then she started songwriting at like about 35, and she didn't actually officially commit and move to Nashville and like say I'm going to do this professionally until I can't until I run out of money.
Yeah.
And she didn't actually move to Nashville or actually like full on writing until she was like 40. And like in my head I was like sometimes I kind of think I'm like, oh, I'm getting this kind of late. I'm just finding my sound at 35, trying to close to trying to put a sound together, and it just kind of gave me the idea of like it's not I'm not too old, I don't know, or I mean it never.
Well, I'm 60. If I ever find my sound, I'll let you know.
No, I didn't mean.
No, I know. I like to make fun of my age.
Yeah, but I mean, it's just it just kind of gave me the idea that like everyone has a different story,
Yeah.
I don't know.
All right. Yeah. Well, that storm is a brewing, and I know you got to get on the road.
Yeah.
I don't want to rush it all. I feel like I could sit here and talk with you for another hour just about all of this, but thank you so much for reaching out on Thursday.
Yeah.
And it was kind of a whirlwind of getting this together, and I wasn't sure if it was going to happen or not, but I'm very glad that you were able to get here and we were able to have this conversation.
Yeah, thanks. It's my second podcast I've done, and actually I did a similar thing, not really a podcast, but I did a video series in my hometown a few years ago, and I kind of like let it go for a little bit for a couple of years, but I did about 12 episodes. I would go out into a park and kind of like record people playing their songs and telling stories. And it's funny because the second person I think who was on my video series, he was just passing through town, kind of like me. And he was the second person on the video series, and he's like a kind of Stephen Edwards, and he's a bus kid, so he kind of built a bus out of into a RV,
right? And
he just kind of like drives around the country, plays shows, and it's kind of funny how like similar things.
Yeah, that's pretty neat. Yeah. All right, well, thanks again for coming in, and thanks for playing a beautiful song for us. And if you're ever back through the area, just let me know. We'll get you on again.
Okay, cool.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, dude.